She messaged me, "I'm crashing at his apartment tonight. His partner knows about it. Why don't you?" I responded, "Because I don't." Then I forwarded a screenshot of her message to his partner, who apparently had no clue about this overnight arrangement. By sunrise, 3 different people were blowing up my phone simultaneously. I'm Marcus, 29 years old, and I'd been dating Elena, 27, for roughly 14 months. We maintained separate apartments, but most weekends found us at one place or the other, and I genuinely believed we were building towards something meaningful. Emphasis on believed. Last Thursday evening around 11, I received a message that made me read it multiple times to process what I was seeing. Elena wrote, "Hey babe, just letting you know I'm staying at my colleague's apartment tonight. We're finishing the quarterly presentation late, and driving home at 2 in the morning doesn't make sense. His partner is completely fine with it. By the way, why aren't you?" I read it once, twice, then a third time because my mind struggled to comprehend what she was actually saying. Some background information matters here. Her colleague was someone named Ryan who she'd started mentioning around 3 months prior. From her descriptions, he seemed pleasant enough. They'd been assigned to the same project team that spring. His name came up maybe a dozen times over those months, always casually, always work-related. I'd never met him face to face. Never met his partner either. I didn't even realize she existed until this precise moment. But something about this message immediately bothered me. Elena didn't ask whether I felt comfortable with this arrangement. She informed me it was happening and preemptively mentioned his partner approved, as though that settled everything before I could even respond. The "why aren't you" at the end felt almost confrontational, like she was challenging me to object. I typed back, "Because I'm not." Elena replied, "Seriously, it's just sleeping on a couch. Don't be insecure about this." I responded, "I'm not insecure. I'm uncomfortable. There's a difference." She wrote back, "His partner literally said it's fine. She knows nothing's happening. Why do you have to make this weird?" I replied, "You've never mentioned his partner before. How do I even know she exists?" Elena sent, "Oh my God, she exists. They've been together like 3 years. You want me to send you her LinkedIn profile or something? You're being absolutely ridiculous right now." I answered, "Sure. Send me her contact information. I'd love to verify she's actually fine with my girlfriend sleeping at her boyfriend's apartment in the middle of the night." I expected her to back down at this point, maybe get irritated and say forget it, she'd just drive home. Or perhaps realize how this entire situation appeared from the outside and understand why I might have questions. Instead, she sent me a phone number. Elena wrote, "There, happy now. Her number. Text her yourself if you don't believe me. This is getting exhausting." So I did exactly that. But I didn't ask if she was comfortable with it. I didn't introduce myself and politely inquire about the sleepover arrangements. I forwarded her a screenshot of Elena's message instead, the one that said his partner is completely fine with it. Then I added, "Hey, this is your boyfriend's coworker's boyfriend. She sent me this message tonight. Just wanted to make sure you're actually aware she's planning to stay over at your apartment." Then I placed my phone face down on the coffee table, made myself some chamomile tea, and waited. I didn't have to wait long at all. The morning after, I woke at 6:52 to my phone vibrating itself across the nightstand. I hadn't even set an alarm. The constant buzzing woke me naturally. 3 missed calls from Elena. 2 from an unknown number that I'd later discover was Ryan. 1 from his partner. Plus roughly 22 text messages spread across all 3 of them, ranging from frantic to furious to apologetic depending on who was sending them. Let me break down what apparently unfolded overnight, because it turns out I accidentally detonated a bomb just by asking a simple verification question. Ryan's partner, whose name I learned was Sophie, had absolutely no idea about any sleepover arrangement. 0. None whatsoever. Ryan told her he was working late at the office and would probably crash at his friend's place downtown because he had an early meeting the next morning. Not that a female colleague would be staying over at their apartment. She was home that night alone, thinking her boyfriend of 3 years was somewhere else entirely while he was actually with another woman on their couch. When Sophie received my message with the screenshot around 11:30, she apparently stared at it for a full minute trying to process what she was reading. Then she grabbed her keys and drove straight to her own apartment. She found Elena and Ryan sitting on the couch together, laptop open on the coffee table, streaming service playing on the television in the background. Working on a presentation at midnight with a show streaming. Right. According to the messages I pieced together from all parties over the next several hours, here's what went down. Sophie confronted them both immediately. A massive argument ensued right there in the living room. Elena apparently tried to explain that everything was completely innocent and nothing happened and nothing was going to happen. But she couldn't explain why Ryan had lied to Sophie about his whereabouts in the first place. If this was also innocent and above board, why the elaborate cover story about staying at a friend's place? Ryan tried to claim it was a miscommunication, that he forgot to mention Elena was coming over to work on the project. He forgot to mention that a woman would be sleeping in their apartment. You don't forget to mention that. You deliberately omit that because you know how it looks. Sophie wasn't buying any of it. She told Elena to leave immediately and then apparently unleashed 3 years' worth of suspicions and concerns she'd been bottling up. Things she'd noticed. Late nights that didn't add up. Text messages she'd glimpsed. A pattern she'd been ignoring because she wanted to trust him. Elena left around 1 in the morning and drove home, then apparently stayed up for hours trying to call me repeatedly. I'd silenced my phone after sending that message because honestly, I knew whatever came next wasn't going to be a pleasant conversation, and I wanted to deal with it with a clear head in the morning. First thing when I woke up and saw the notification chaos, I checked the messages in order. From Elena, what did you do? Why would you text her? You literally ruined everything. It was innocent. Nothing happened. Nothing was going to happen. Now she thinks we're having an affair. You need to call me right now. This is not a joke. I can't believe you would do this to me. Answer your phone. Then more messages, fine. Don't answer. But we will be talking about this tomorrow. From Sophie, thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this too. I had no idea about any of this. We should talk when you have a chance. From the unknown number, turned out to be Ryan himself. Dude, what the hell is wrong with you? You just destroyed my relationship over absolutely nothing. She was literally just crashing on my couch after a long work session. You're a psycho and you're going to regret this. I didn't respond to any of them immediately. I made coffee first, strong. I needed the caffeine and needed time to think through everything clearly. Here's what I kept coming back to as I sat at my kitchen table. Why did Ryan lie to Sophie about where he was and who he was with? If this was all innocent, just 2 colleagues working late on a presentation, why not simply say, hey babe, my coworker is coming over to work on this project and might crash on the couch if it goes late. That's a perfectly normal thing to tell your partner. Why make up an elaborate story about staying at a friend's place downtown? And why did Elena assume Sophie was completely fine with it if she'd never actually confirmed that with the woman herself? She just took Ryan's word for it. Or maybe she knew he hadn't told her and just didn't care. Either way, something was deeply off about this entire situation. I called Elena around 8 once I felt prepared for whatever conversation was coming. She answered before the first ring even finished. Finally. Do you have any idea what you've caused? I verified information you gave me. You said his partner was fine with you staying over. She wasn't fine with it. She didn't even know about it. Because he probably just forgot to tell her. It wasn't a big deal until you made it into one. He told her he was staying at a friend's place, not at his own apartment with a female colleague sleeping over. Long silence then. Okay, look, he probably just said that because he knew she'd overreact. Like you're overreacting right now. So his solution to her potentially overreacting to the truth was to just lie to her completely. And you don't see any problem with that. That's not my problem. That's between them. It became your problem when you told me she approved of something she didn't even know about. I asked you a direct question. You gave me her number. And the answer I got was very different from what you told me. You went behind my back and contacted a stranger to cause drama. You gave me her number. You literally handed it to me yourself and told me to text her if I didn't believe you. I did exactly what you suggested. I didn't think you'd actually do it. It was supposed to be like a reassurance thing to show I had nothing to hide. Then why did verifying it blow everything up? If there was really nothing to hide, she would have said, "Yeah, I know, it's fine." And that would have been the end of it. She didn't have an answer for that. I could hear her breathing hard on the other end of the line, trying to figure out her next move. Finally, she pivoted to something else. "You know what, I need some space from this conversation. I can't talk to you right now. You've completely violated my trust by going behind my back like this." I almost laughed out loud. Almost. "I violated your trust by checking on information you provided me. You literally challenged me to verify it. You went behind my back and contacted his partner to deliberately cause drama between them. Sophie deserved to know her boyfriend was lying to her. And I deserved to know if what you told me was actually true. It wasn't." She hung up without another word. I finished my coffee and started thinking about what came next. 1 week later, things had escalated in ways I genuinely didn't anticipate. The entitlement coming from multiple directions had been almost impressive. First, the situation between Ryan and Sophie. That relationship was completely done. They split permanently about 2 days after the incident. According to what I'd pieced together from Sophie, we'd exchanged messages a few times since that night. She reached out to thank me again and we'd stayed loosely in touch. Once she started actually looking at things with clear eyes, she found a lot more to be concerned about. Messages on his phone that didn't add up. A pattern of late nights and vague explanations stretching back months. Female friends he'd never mentioned. Nothing concrete linking him to Elena specifically, but enough to confirm he wasn't the honest, faithful boyfriend he'd been pretending to be for 3 years. The sleepover situation was apparently just the final straw that broke everything open. She was staying with her sister now while she figured out her living situation. They were done for good. She seemed sad, but also relieved, if that makes sense. Like she'd known something was off for a while and finally got confirmation she wasn't imagining things. Elena, meanwhile, blamed me for all of this entirely, which brings me to the entitlement that had been steadily building throughout this week. Day 2 after the incident, she showed up at my apartment without calling ahead. Just knocked on my door around 7 in the evening and walked in when I opened it like she still had every right to be there. "We need to have a real conversation about what you did. What I did was verify information you provided me. Want to sit down or are you planning to pace around my living room looking upset?" "I'm not sitting down. This is serious. You've single-handedly ruined someone's 3-year relationship. His lies ruined his relationship. I just brought them to light. It wasn't your place to bring anything to light. That was between him and his partner. Actually, it became my business the moment you told me she approved of you sleeping at his place, which she didn't approve of because she didn't know it was happening." She started pacing, a classic thing she does when she's working up to something bigger. "Do you understand the position you've put me in at work now? Everyone knows about this. The whole office is whispering about it. People are looking at me differently." "Whispering about what exactly?" "That your colleague lied to his partner and got caught. That's not your scandal unless you made it yours. They think we were having an affair. They think I'm a homewrecker. Were you having an affair?" She stopped pacing and turned to face me. "Excuse me. Simple question. Were you sleeping with him? Is that why he felt like he needed to lie about you being there?" "No. Absolutely nothing physical happened. We were legitimately working on a presentation and it got late and I was going to crash on his couch because I was tired. That's it. At his apartment where his partner of 3 years didn't know you'd be because he deliberately lied about being there at all. And instead of questioning why he'd need to lie about something so innocent, you just went along with it and told me not to be insecure about it." She got quiet for a moment, then in a smaller, more uncertain voice, "I thought she knew. He told me she was fine with it. He said she was chill about stuff like this. So he lied to both of you then. He told you she knew. He told her he was somewhere else entirely. That doesn't concern you at all." That seemed to land. I could see it register on her face, the realization that she'd been played too. But instead of sitting with that uncomfortable truth, she deflected right back to being angry at me. "This doesn't change what you did. You deliberately tried to blow up their relationship." I asked a question. The answer I got is what blew everything up. There's a significant difference. She left after that exchange. Didn't slam the door on her way out, which honestly surprised me a little. Just walked out looking more confused and conflicted than purely angry. Day 4 is when her mother decided to get involved. I'd only met Carol twice over our 14 months together, and both times she'd been perfectly pleasant. Typical concerned mother energy, nothing unusual. This phone call was a very different experience. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing here, but you've upset my daughter terribly, and I think you owe her an apology. Ma'am, I'm not playing any games. Your daughter told me another woman was okay with her sleeping at that woman's boyfriend's apartment. The other woman wasn't okay with it because she didn't even know it was happening. I simply confirmed that. By going behind my daughter's back and contacting complete strangers. That's a violation of trust. Your daughter gave me the contact information herself. She literally handed me the phone number and explicitly told me to verify it with this woman. I did exactly what she suggested I do. Very long pause on the other end. She didn't tell me that part of the story. I'm sure she didn't. Well, regardless of the specifics, you should have trusted her judgment. That's what partners do. I did trust her judgment. I trusted that the information she provided me was accurate. Turns out it wasn't accurate at all. That's not a failing on my part. Carol didn't have much else to say after that. The call ended with a vague, somewhat deflated, "Well, I hope you two can work through this somehow," before she hung up. Day 6 is when Ryan himself decided to make an appearance. I was walking back from grabbing groceries at the corner store when I spotted him leaning against his car in my apartment complex's parking lot. I recognized him from photos Elena had shown me over the months, team building events, office gatherings, that kind of thing. He looked rough. Unshaven, tired, wearing clothes that looked like he'd slept in them. "We need to talk," he said as I approached. "Do we though? You cost me my relationship. 3 years gone because of you." I shifted my grocery bags to my other hand. "Pretty sure your lies are what cost you your relationship. I just provided information. Nothing was going on between me and your girlfriend. Nothing physical. Not ever. Then why'd you tell your partner you were staying at some friend's place downtown instead of your own apartment?" He looked away, jaw tight. It was just easier that way. She could be insecure sometimes. Would have asked a million questions about why a female colleague was coming over. So instead of answering her questions honestly, you chose to lie to her completely about where you were. And you don't see how that might be a problem. It was a white lie to avoid unnecessary drama. Seems like it created way more drama than honesty would have. He stepped closer to me. Not quite threatening yet, but definitely testing whether I'd back down. "You think you're real clever, don't you? Your little detective move. Texting my partner out of nowhere. Thought you were so smart. Your partner deserved to know the truth about what was happening in her own apartment. So did I. Neither of us got that truth from the people who should have given it to us. You don't know anything about my relationship. I know it's completely over now because you couldn't tell the truth about a simple couch sleepover. That says everything I need to know." He looked like he genuinely wanted to take a swing at me. For about 3 or 4 very tense seconds, I honestly thought I was about to get into a fist fight in a parking lot while holding a bag of groceries and a carton of eggs. But then something in him deflated and he just shook his head. "You and her deserve each other. You're both miserable people." Then he got in his car and drove off. I went inside and put away my groceries. My hands were shaking slightly afterward. Adrenaline probably, combined with the general strangeness of being confronted by someone whose entire life fell apart because he couldn't tell his partner the simple truth about a work project. 2 weeks later, time to wrap this whole thing up because there's not much else to tell. Elena and I were officially done. It happened about 4 days ago and the actual breakup conversation was surprisingly anticlimactic after all the build-up. She texted me asking if we could meet up to talk things through properly. Very formal phrasing, very scheduled, specific time, specific place. I knew from the tone it was going to be a breakup conversation. And honestly, I was ready for it. We met at my apartment, sat on the couch, same place we'd watched movies together 100 times. Different energy now, though. She started with what I think was supposed to be a reconciliation speech, but it pretty quickly turned into something else entirely. I've been doing a lot of thinking over the past 2 weeks about everything that happened and what it means. Okay. And I've come to realize that you fundamentally don't trust me. You never really did. And a relationship can't survive without basic trust. I waited for her to continue. You texted a complete stranger instead of just believing me when I told you the situation was innocent. That tells me everything I need to know about how you actually see me. I texted her because you gave me her number and told me to verify the situation myself. I didn't go digging through your phone or hire a private investigator. You literally handed me the contact information and challenged me to use it. I didn't actually think you would do it. I thought you'd realize you were being ridiculous and just trust me like a normal boyfriend. So you called my bluff and I called yours. Except mine wasn't a bluff. I actually wanted to verify the truth. She looked genuinely hurt by that framing. I've never cheated on you. Not once. Nothing physical happened with him. Not ever. Maybe nothing physical happened. I'm willing to believe that. But you were comfortable with him lying to his partner so you two could be alone together in his apartment late at night. That's not nothing. That's a boundary issue. It wasn't my lie to correct. How is that my responsibility? But it was your lie to benefit from. And when I questioned any of it, your immediate first instinct was to tell me I was being insecure and paranoid instead of actually examining why the whole situation felt wrong. She didn't have a response to that. Just sat there looking at her hands. I didn't blow up your colleague's relationship, I continued. His lies did that. I didn't create this whole situation. You two created it by being comfortable with deception. I just refused to participate in it. So we're done then. Just like that. I think you came here tonight to end things. I'm just agreeing with you that it's the right call. She started crying then. Not dramatic sobbing or anything performative, just quiet tears rolling down her cheeks. Part of me genuinely wanted to comfort her. 14 months together, shared experiences, real feelings. That doesn't just evaporate overnight. But I stayed where I was on my side of the couch. I really did love you, she said after a while. I know. I loved you too. But love isn't enough when the foundation underneath it has cracks. She left about 20 minutes later, took the few things she'd left at my place over the months we were together. A cardigan she liked, some skincare products, a phone charger, a book she'd been meaning to finish. Seeing all of those items fit easily into a single small shopping bag was somehow sadder than the actual conversation we'd just had. So here's where everyone ended up. Ryan and Sophie are completely finished. She moved out of their shared apartment and is staying with her sister while she gets her life sorted out. She started seeing a therapist to work through some things. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she'd ignored warning signs with him, and she wants to understand why she kept making excuses. She thanked me again last week for being the wake-up call she needed. We're not friends exactly, but we're friendly enough. She seems like she's going to be okay eventually. Ryan is apparently miserable. Lost his partner of 3 years, having to find a new apartment since he can't afford their old place alone, and his reputation at work has taken a serious hit. He's been telling anyone who will listen that I'm some kind of paranoid psycho who destroyed his life over nothing. Some people buy that narrative. Most people who actually know the details don't. The story of guy lies to partner about being alone with female colleague and gets caught doesn't play well no matter how you try to spin it. Elena is doing, I actually don't know. We haven't spoken since she left my apartment. Carol tried to call me once more, but I didn't answer. Got a message from Elena's best friend calling me an insecure control freak who ruined a good thing, which I just left on read. And me? I'm okay. Not great, not terrible. Somewhere in the middle. 14 months isn't nothing. And there are moments late at night when I miss her, the good parts of her anyway. But every time that feeling creeps up, I remember the message that started all of this. His partner is completely fine with it. Why aren't you? Because the partner wasn't fine with it. She didn't even know. The whole arrangement was built on lies and comfortable deceptions, and I was expected to just accept that without any questions. I don't regret what I did. When someone hands you a phone number and challenges you to verify their story yourself, that's not going behind their back. That's accepting an invitation. If the story had been true and innocent, nothing would have happened. Sophie would have said, "Yeah, I know about the sleepover, no big deal," and that would have been the end of everything. But the story wasn't true. And now here we all are. Some people might read this and think I overreacted, that I should have just trusted her, let her crash on some guy's couch, and moved on with my life. Maybe they're right. I don't know. But here's the thing. She could have just come home. She could have driven the 40-some minutes back to her place. She could have been transparent with me about the full situation instead of preemptively defending it before I even asked a question. Instead, she chose to spend the night at another man's apartment while that man's partner was being actively lied to about where he was. And when I had the audacity to question any of it, I was the one with the problem. That's not a relationship I want to be in. Call me insecure if that makes you feel better about it. I call it having standards.